Because it's a yontiv. Ben shechal yen kippur b'chol, ben shechal b'shabbos. So by mincha you don't say any more v'ina makenu. Now the next seif, what he says over here is not our minig. He says over here, achat tfilas ha-mincha noigel lahalkos. That after mincha you give malchus, and our minig is faket. Our minig is that before mincha and before the mikveh, you go to the mikveh. Before the mikveh, you do the malchus. V'apapi she'ein malchus zehu malchus mamish. Even though this isn't really the malchus what the halacha talks about. Mikol malchum b'tech kach yosem el Levi roshuv me'averi shabayodeh. V'yesh likach etzua shel egel. Should take what we call a belt, but the belt should be shel egel. Egel means it should be leather. Now this is a very important din l'chayra, because today many belts are plastic. They're not leather. So you have to make sure that the belt should be a leather belt. The tzua that they used to use for malchus was the width of a tefach. So it doesn't matter, even the belt is not the width of a tefach. Hanilka, the one who's receiving the malchus, Yehemuta should be bent, V'soicha and kneeing al birkav on his knees, Panav would soften, V'achayrav udarim. That means it should be, soften is that way, is north in this shul, and darim is south in this shul. The people say certain vidu when they're receiving the malchus. Now this is part of our minig. V'amalka by us, not just the malka, but the one who's receiving both of them. V'amalka and v'hanilka. Oime b'hurachim, gimel pomim, shehein lametes tevis, keneged lametes malchus. Well, Esarev, now when it comes closer to the evening already, oichlin suda hamavsekas. The suda hamavsekas means that after this suda you don't eat anymore. The truth is, like we'll learn later, it's not really so. You could eat after the Sudam Sekas. If before you bench, you made up that if I want to drink still or eat something, I should be able to do it. But it's called Sudam Sekas. Officially, it's the final Suda before Yom Kippur. And over here we put the challah, the amoitzi in honey, just like Rosh Hashanah. And like I mentioned when we learned Rosh Hashanah, that the minig is also to dip in salt, both things. So after you dip in the honey, you eat a piece, and then later dip the dry challah into the salt. Shouldn't eat like sharp foods that heat up the body. These are spices. Some is different spice, and kalkum is a spice. I forgot what we call it in English. I forgot the word. It's a yellow spice. Huh? Turmeric. It's turmeric. The Sfardim like this very much. I mean, Ashkenazim don't stop popular Ashkenazim. V'tzorach lizor ma'od v'haisiv mechol ala kodesh. In other words, not to eat up till the last second, but add time. Like the popular saying in Lubavitch is that it's 26 hours. How do you get 26 hours? A day is only 24 hours. That it says because you have Mitzvah and Kippur, we go till Tzesek Achavim, and over here we start before the Shkia. So may it become officially like a 26-hour fast. And you should eat the hainu sheyafsik milachol ba'ay yom tzas kaidem bein hashmoshes. Uzriza magdimim, and those who are quick in things, so they even start earlier. Lahafsik k'moshah kaidem alayla, like about an hour before night. The truth is, if you go to the mikveh after that, then you have to go to shul. So before you turn around, it is about an hour, even if you planned it or you didn't plan it. Him hafsik milacha ba'oid yom gadol. This is what I mentioned before. That if he stopped early, and then v'daita lecho eilishta zachakach tzarich sheyisne, he has to make a condition. And I mentioned kaidem birus hamazon v'yem b'feidish oy lechol apochos yahare b'libay she'ein makabel or v'dainis atainis. He's not makabel yet the tainis that he's going to wait in case he wants to eat or drink something. The minig is also that we light candles by the Sudim of Sekas. Doesn't say over here. Haminig Nevdinas Eilu, the minig by us is She'ein matminin be'erev Yom Kippur l'tzorech mitzvah Yom Kippur. Usually, on a Friday, we leave food on the fire, that we should have warm food later on. But over here, we don't eat later on. So we don't Kadesh matminim erev Shabbos or Shabbos. Mishum dehavi kimeichin miyem kippurim l'chol. Even though it's not really Yom Kippur yet, but we said that Shetach and Pasuk me'erev ad erev, and it's considered like Yom Kippur. Eating the eating today is considered like first Yom Kippur. So it would look like you're preparing from Yom Tov l'chol. V'gam mishum behevi mishum b'mech is a kerav sanusa. It looks like you're what they call in English a gluten, a person that wants to eat a lot, you know. Now, the next sermon, next sif is he's going to talk about what do we do with covered yontif. You know, there's a דיני from yontif. So what do you do? Shetach HaPosuk Ksiv is said in Pasuk L'Kdosh Hashem Mechubad. That means that for the holy day of Hashem, you should do things to show respect for it. So he said, V'dashina Zeh Yom Kippur, that this goes on Yom Kippur. She'ein bo yachilu shesiyah. In Kippur there isn't any eating. Is mitzvah l'chabdoi b'ksus nekiyah u'b'neidos. L'chein therefore, matziyin gam b'yem b'beis hakneses, matzor is noise, you put out nice tablecloths, v'orchen umabim b'neidos, shenikah covered, light is considered a covered, shenema b'urim kibdu Hashem, that means with lights, what does b'urim mean? B'pan sanaya yakru Hashem. Pan sanaya means a light. Kaidem bein hashmoshes, person mapes ala shulchanis, umadlikin neides babayis k'moi erev Shabbos. And you make a bracha, and you make a shechiyonu also. And that's why we have our minig, that on every yontiv, when we make kiddush, in the kiddush we make a shechiyonu. Shechiyonu is for the yontiv, but the erev Yom Kippur, on Yom Kippur there's no shechiyonu. So what we do is right after Kol Nidrei, we say shechiyonu in shul, and I always announce that the women who already lit candles should not say the bracha of shechiyonu now. They should just answer Amen, and they can answer Baruch Hu Baruch Shemoi, because they're not being used with the bracha. And the men say along the bracha together with the chazan, and they finish the bracha before he finishes, in order that they can say Amen. V'im chal b'Shabbos, if it came out on Shabbos, is damals Mevochem l'hadik ner shel Shabbos v'shayem Kippurim. Mistame Lubavitch, mistame they add the word Shabbos Kodesh v'shayem Kippurim. Every Friday night, when they light the candles, they say l'hadik ner shel Shabbos Kodesh. And the reason why, maybe one of the reasons why in Lubavitch the women say l'hadik ner shel Shabbos Kodesh. In the Welt, they don't say Shabbos, they just say Hadik Neshel Shabbos. And there's a reason, a pi halacha, what the benefit is by Hadik Neshel Shabbos Kodesh. And the benefit is, there's a famous Lomdish question. The Lomdish question is that when a man davens Ma'ariv, he's Mekabel Shabbos. And in Kabbalah Shabbos he says Vayichulu. Okay? Now, then there's also a mitzvah to be Mekabel Shabbos with Kiddush. So the question is, and the same mitzvah of Kiddush applies both to men and to women. So the question that they ask is that how is it possible that the husband comes home and he makes Kiddush, right? He already was Yotzim Midaraisa by saying Vayichulu in Shul. And the woman is still Mechuyev Midaraisa. So how could the Rabbanan be Motzei Daraisa? That's a popular, I think it's a Kivegas, a kasha that they ask, and there's a lot that's said about it. But the way that Lubavitch gets around it is that the women, when they bench to live, by adding the word Hadik Neshel Shabbos Kodesh, they Mekabel Shabbos with that. So they were Yotzei the Kabbalah Shabbos of their Isa. So when it comes, the husband's making Kiddush, the woman is the Rabbanan, and the husband's the Rabbanan. But the Rabbanan can be Motzei the Rabbanan. Noigen Lilbesh es a kittel. There's a minhag to put on a kittel. Shu beged mesim. Vayidei zeh leiv ha'adam nichna v'nishba. Because it reminds us what the end is. V'gam ha'avel yochel lilbesh, even an avel could put it on. V'kivin shu beged miyuchad l'tfilah v'yelach by basic nesses. Now he says another thing, which the Alter Rebbe says also Shulchan Aruch, but it's not practiced. And the other thing is that he says Gam hanoshim leivshes begodim levonim. Women, they wear something white. The Alter Rebbe says in Shulchan Aruch that a woman could wear a kittel. That's what the Alter Rebbe says in Shulchan Aruch. So it's not popular that the woman should wear a kittel, but they usually wear a white tichel or a white some garment. V'noki will cover the yom. Ach lo yizkashtu es atzman v'tachshitim. They shouldn't adorn themselves with jewelry or with perfumes or things like that. In other words, they're not when you want to show off, so you do these things. But over here, it's a very serious situation. So maybe they don't do it. Now he says, "Aminig sha'av va'aim v'vokum as abonim v'sabonis kodesh shenichnosim b'beis hakneses." The parents, before they go to shul, they bench the children. And we all know, of course, that the Rebbe gives a bracha after mincha, and the Rebbe also used to give a bracha for the Talmidim of the yeshiva. Right before he went down, he was already dressed with the kittel, with the talis, and he went into the small beis medrash upstairs, and over there he would give a bracha to the Talmidim. שעוז כבר חל קדושת היום, ושאר הרחמים נפתחו. מספרים בברכה, and what's the teichen of the bracha? שיחסמו לחיים טובים, ושיהי ריבם נוחם בירס השם, ומסחננים בבכי ובדמוי שתקובו תפילוסם, וגם הבונים והבונס מסעירים שילכו בדרך הטובה ואוכל צדיקים ישמעו. It works two ways. The parents give the bracha to the children, and the children are aroused to conduct themselves properly. ויש הוכם גם מקרביהם שהם תלמידי חכמים וצדיקים שיבוכו אסם, מבקשים הם שיספלו גם באדום ביום הקודש והנוירה. They have the mind in their tefillos. In the famous siddur that the Rebbe had, what they call the Baal Shem Tov siddur, there was written in the siddur the names of the Talmidim. The Talmidim would write their name in the siddur. The siddur is in 770. It was a special siddur that belonged to a. I heard this is how I heard the story, that the siddur belonged to a Chotkever Chassid. It was a Chotkever Rebbe. Rabbi Shapiro was a Chotkever Chassid. Rabbi Harlick, who's related to Rabbi Shapiro, so he every year used to make a marker for the Chotkever Rebbe's Yortzeit. So there was a Chassid that he owned the siddur, and he didn't want to give up the siddur. And Rav wanted to buy the siddur, but something happened, and it seems like he needed the so he agreed to sell the siddur. And the way I heard the story was that the Rebbe sent the Friedrich Rebbe sent the Rashag to Wien to meet with that chassid and to buy the siddur. And the simon that they had for the siddur was that there was a few things. One thing was that in benching in Rachem says Yodcha Amrei Psucha instead of Hakadosha said Hakadusha. Hakadusha means full, like Mori v'Gradish. And another thing was that there was a tear, a buttigetrer by Bnei Yisraelim. So I'll tell you a story about this interesting story. When
but the Rebbe, just to interrupt, the Rebbe said it by Efabringen.
Yeah.
And they went back to the library.
No.
And the Rebbe, they went to the benching, and it doesn't say there was a gimel. So the Rebbe said, go back and look at the benching of the Agadah. And they went back there. That's where it was.
The Rebbe's reaction was, can you sign?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Rebbe said.
Yeah, it's like
Whatever you saw doesn't matter. Can it be?
Yeah. But he told him to look. But he told him to go back and look. And they went again.
I'll tell you now an interesting story. When the Square Rebbe, the one that's now in Square Town, when his father passed away, this goes back many years, maybe 50 years, I don't know. So the Rashag went to be Menachemovo, the Square Rebbe, the Heintige Square Rebbe. In the yeshiva worked a yid by the name, you all know the name, Rabbi Friedman. Rabbi Friedman is the father of Shlomo Friedman, Avraham Friedman, you know. So his father was a Choshev Chassidish Rav. He used to call himself the Krenitzer Rav. Came from the city Krenitz. So he asked the Rashag if his father can come along to be Menachem with the Square Rebbe. So the Rashag agreed, and I was the driver.
Oh.
So in the car, he asked the Rashag if he could tell him something about the Baal Shem Tov Siddur.
Oh.
So he told him that they went to buy it, and I think they said something like $20,000 or something they paid for it. Those years, which was a Hein Rav. And then he told him the story about the benching and about Bnei Yisraelim. So Rabbi Friedman, the Krenitzer Rav, said to the Rashag, here you see the greatness of the Baal Shem Tov. He says, there's a lot of Yidden, he said, Amrispalo, no, there's two blutige tränen. One was by Yom Kippur, and one was by Ubnei Yishalayim. So he said to Rashag, a lot of Yidden cry by Yom Kippur. He said, but really do you find someone that after B'yachalta B'Savata, still to have a zin in the B'nai Yishalayim?
In the book they wrote my father, he said that the Rebbe called him one day, and the Rebbe didn't want to touch the siddur. But the Friedrich Rebbe told him once. So he called my father and he asked him, Gewenheit den Wasser. So he said, told him to come. Aus der Gartel. He said, come. And he let him look through the siddur. And he says, you remember seeing the two drops.